Thank you. I'm Senator Michael Kroon. Prior to being in the Senate, I was on the Spring Lake Park School Board, so I'm not unfamiliar with state mandates. I've had to deal with them, although over the last 2 years since I've been in the Senate, those mandates have gotten more crippling to our school districts. I represent 4 school districts, one being Anoka Hennepin, which has highly publicized some of its budget shortfalls right now. They've cut where they can cut from the central office, but with these mandates that they continue to have to deal with, it's getting increasingly more difficult for them to stay out of the classroom and to make cuts there, which will result in higher class sizes and things that parents really don't want. And it's really about priorities. That's what this comes down to. With a K-12 budget of between 23 and 24 billion, with the automatic inflator that has been put in there, we're over a $25 billion budget. And so there really is no reason that we have to cut key priorities that matter to our parents, our students, and our teachers. Even in our current budget environment with the looming $6 billion and even with the net zero budget targets, there's no reason to cut the key priorities. But that's unfortunately what we're seeing, at least under the governor's proposal. So what's key to balancing this budget without cutting priorities is the mandate relief, rather than some of the things that the governor is proposing to cut, such as teacher compensation through Q-Comp or community ed, special education services, and charter schools. When it comes to the mandate relief, I think one of the most egregious ones, and Senator Rarick touched on it, is the unemployment mandate. These apply to seasonal jobs, and these employees were not eligible for unemployment until the 2023 session. And these are employees that knew what the deal was. They were signing up for a 9-month job. And of course, if money were no object at all, of course it would be nice to provide this benefit to those employees. But money is an object. And when you have finite K-12 dollars, you have to make priorities. And this clearly shouldn't be one of them. And so what we're seeing here is it was originally funded for a couple of years. So this was one-time funding, but an ongoing obligation. There's a couple different proposals out there. One would fund it for another single year, another would fund it for 2 more years, but then what? And these mandates are gonna cost statewide approximately $65 to $70 million a year. And what's gonna happen when that one-time funding is over? Well, it falls on the local property taxpayers, or it just simply becomes another unfunded mandate on our schools. And so that should not be a priority over cutting teacher compensation, special education services, et cetera. Teacher licensure is another mandate that is hurting our schools. In 2023, the Democrats brought forward an education policy bill that eliminated numerous licensure programs that help bring highly qualified teachers into the classroom. And our students are behind in proficiency. Lowering the quality of teachers does a disservice to meeting their needs and setting them up for future success. So an added layer to this is that schools are already being forced into making staffing cuts due to mandates. They're spending all their funding to comply with these unfunded mandates and are being forced to consider cutting teachers, which are integral to our students' success. So our schools need more flexibility on teacher licensures. Another one is library aid, which I believe is about $16.11 per pupil. It's a new categorical aid that was added, and it tells schools where to spend this funding. And why would we further tie our schools' hands on how they can spend this money? Each school is different. They have unique challenges, unique needs, and so maximizing flexibility is the key here. And finally, another one is student support personnel aid. So we're forcing schools to hire new people on certain categories, even if people aren't applying for those positions. And if they can't fill them, that money, they don't get that money. And some of these are important needs, but again, the schools have different needs. They have different challenges. So giving them flexibility to spend these student support personnel aid money in a way that works for their district is critically important for these districts to be able to meet their budget needs. So we've been beating this drum for a while to listen to our schools. They're in unison asking for mandate relief, and that has to be a key part of how we move forward for the rest of this legislative session. And as Senator Rarick said, earned sick and safe time is another problem for the schools, and what's looming is the paid family medical leave bill out there. These are things that are negotiated with teachers. We need to give our schools the flexibility over the one-size-fits-all approach that's currently mandated on them. And it's really breaking the backs of our school budgets as a result.